I'm gonna expand my MacBook storage with this 2TB PCIe M.2 NVMe SSD. This one is capable of around 7000 megabytes per second read speeds, theoretically that is. To use an M.2 SSD with a laptop, I have a Thunderbolt 4 M.2 SSD enclosure from UGreen. Let's start by unboxing the SSD first. It's a Samsung 990 Pro M.2 SSD. It has an M.2 form factor of 2280, which is the maximum size suitable for the UGreen enclosure, which we are going to unbox next. In the packaging we can find the thermal paste pad, screwdriver and an extra screw. For connectivity we have two cables, one USB-C to USB-C and another USB-C to USB-A. Finally, let's see the enclosure itself, which is made from aluminium with this protective rubber wrapper around it. Now let's take the screwdriver that was in the package and open up the only screw that is holding the lid. Inside we can see multiple screw holes, and the idea is that we can attach different size of M.2 SSDs into the enclosure. Since I have the 2280 size M.2 SSD, I'm going to need to use the right hand side screw, which we need to first unscrew from the enclosure itself and put it away, but don't lose it. Luckily we had an extra screw in the package, but still. Next we wiggle the SSD in place and make sure to push it correctly into the enclosure. Next we need to attach the screw that is holding the SSD in place, but do not make the same mistake as I did. I actually attached the screw on top of the SSD, which is not how you need to do it. Next, we need to attach the thermal pad. The thermal pad is used to basically distribute heat from the SSD into the heat sink of the enclosure. Remember to remove the foil cover from the thermal pad, attach the thermal pad into the SSD, and after you've done that, remove the foil from the other side as well, so there's a good connection from the SSD via the thermal pad to the enclosure or the heatsink in the enclosure. Now I realized my mistake that I incorrectly put the screw in. I screwed it on top of the SSD, fully on top of the SSD. Instead, there is a small groove in the screw that you need to slide the SSD into. So be careful with this. Now the enclosure is again fully put together and ready for use. The Thunderbolt 4 compatible USB-C port is at the side of the enclosure. So now let's use the USB-C to USB-C type Thunderbolt cable and attach it to my MacBook. And once you do, macOS of course asks you if you want to connect this accessory to your computer. Click allow. In the disk utility application, we now can see our new NVMe storage device with 2 terabytes of storage. Let's now format it so we can start testing. I always choose the encrypted file system, so I need to set up a password. This is basically the default that I do for all external drives. Now for testing purposes, I'm going to copy a 6 GB file there, some ISO image for Ubuntu, and it's pretty much copied in few seconds, which is really nice. And real world performance is the main thing, but hey, let's run few benchmarks to see some numbers. Of course, these don't match the promised 7,500 megabytes per second, but those numbers are always marketing speak. I'm really happy with the about 3,000 megabytes per second, which is quite close to my internal SSD as well. Oh, and by the way, I edited this whole video in Premiere Pro in 4K from this external SSD, and everything went very smoothly. So I'm very happy with the setup.